Once upon a time, in a small town, there lived a dedicated teacher named Mrs. Thompson. She was passionate about her profession and cared deeply for her students' well-being and education. Mrs. Thompson's husband, Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, had a strong attachment to his smartphone and often found solace in playing his favorite game whenever he had free time. One evening, as Mrs. Thompson began to check the homework assignments her students had completed, she noticed something that struck her heart. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she couldn't hold back the silent weeping. Concerned, Mr. Thompson put down his smartphone and approached his wife. Tears welled up.
"What happened?"
he asked, worriedly. Between sobs, Mrs. Thompson managed to say,
"Yesterday, I gave my students homework on the topic, my wish."
Perplexed, Mr. Thompson inquired.
"Okay, but why are you crying?"
Struggling to compose herself, Mrs. Thompson replied,
"While checking the last set of notes, something really touched me."
Mr. Thompson, curious and concerned, asked,
"What did the notes say that made you cry?"
Mrs. Thompson took a deep breath and began to read aloud, her voice quivering with emotion.
My wish is to become a smartphone. My parents love their smartphone very much. They care about their smartphone so much that sometimes they forget to care for me. When my father comes from the office tired, he has time for his smartphone but not for me. When my parents are doing some important work and the smartphone is ringing, within a single ring, they attend the phone, but not to me, even if I am crying. They play games on their smartphones, not with me. When they are talking to someone on their smartphone, they never listen to me, even if I am telling them something important. So, my wish is to become a smartphone."
As the last words left Mrs. Thompson's lips, a heavy silence hung in the room. Mr. Thompson felt a lump forming in his throat, and his eyes grew moist. Overwhelmed with emotion, Mr. Thompson asked his wife,
"Who wrote this?"
With a heavy heart, Mrs. Thompson replied,
"Our son."
Those simple words from their child pierced their souls, awakening them to the reality of their actions and the unintended consequences of their behavior. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson realized the significance of the lesson their son had unintentionally taught them. They embraced each other tightly, tears streaming down their faces, as they made a silent promise to be more present and attentive parents. From that day forward, they made a conscious effort to balance their gadget usage and prioritize quality time with their children. From that, parents across the town heard about the incident, and it sparked a collective awakening. They realized the importance of being fully present for their children, nurturing their emotional well-being, and fostering a loving and supportive environment. The town witnessed a positive shift as parents became more aware of their actions and the impact they had on their children's lives. Children are keen observers, they see and feel everything happening around them. Every interaction, every action, and every word gets imprinted on their impressionable minds, leaving a lasting impact. It is crucial for parents to be mindful of how they prioritize their time and attention, ensuring that their children never feel neglected or unimportant.